After Nigeria gained independence from the British in 1960, the new nation immediately struggled to maintain peace due to lasting ethnic tensions that were a result of the arbitrary borders that were created by the British regime, with over 300 different ethnic groups living in Nigeria upon independence. The nation was home to the Muslim Hausa Fulani ethnic group in the north and Christian Igbo and Yoruba groups which divided the south. In 1966, a coup was launched which put General Oguyu Ironsi, who was an Igbo, into power. This was shortly after met with a counter-coup from the Muslim north, assassinating Ironsi and putting General Gowon into power. Northern fighters then began to violently target the Igbo population living in the north, who had migrated in hopes of profiting from the north's oil reserves. After the surviving Igbos fled to their home in the southeast, they sought to form an independent state. The Igbos, headed by Colonel Ojukwu, established a secessionist state called the Republic of Biafra in 1967, which would start the Nigerian Civil War. Within the first year of the war, Nigerian armed forces surrounded Biafra and imposed a blockade, preventing food and supplies from entering the region, which resulted in mass starvation of Biafra's population. This sparked a major humanitarian crisis of famine and disease outbreak. During the war's entirety, it is estimated that as many as 2 million Biafran citizens died of starvation. In 1968, graphic photos of the situation in Biafra spread throughout the Western world and was a catalyst for vast international concern over the humanitarian crisis. Biafra received support from Western powers including Spain, France, and Norway. Although the U.S. sought to remain neutral, they quickly became involved in the worsening crisis. Former U.S. Aid Director William North recalls concluding that the volume of food alone that would be required to provide Biafra was beyond any logistical arrangement that could be made without a ceasefire or direct access to Biafra. Although not permitted to enter Biafra, he and other U.S. aid directors examined Nigeria's eastern region in order to prepare a report that could be used in a meeting with General Gowon to persuade him of the seriousness of the situation. He further explains that in 1970 it became dire to make the U.S. support of relief known, as the growing collapse of Biafra aroused fear of a future genocide of Biafrans. After talks with the Nigerian federal government, U.S. aid launched an astoundingly large operation, distributing over 80 5-ton trucks of supplies to Nigeria. He says that although he doesn't truly know if the supplies ended up being used effectively, it was successful in tempering the federal government's hostilities toward Biafrans. The war ended with Biafran forces surrendering to the Nigerian military government in January of 1970. After the government's final offensive known as Operation Tailwind, Ojukwu then went into exile in Côte d'Ivoire.